Welcome or welcome back. I'm Absolute Fatal, and today we're going to be talking about how to get the best quality audio out of your microphone. Today we're going to be focused on using Voicemeeter and how that can improve your audio, and how we can use that to get the best audio possible out of any microphone. I personally am using the Blue Yeti currently, which is a very common microphone, but you can apply this process to any microphone that you're using. So let's head on over to the desktop and we'll get started. Okay, so the application we'll be using today is called Voicemeeter. You may have heard of it before. Voicemeeter is an audio mixer, but it allows you to, it's software based, and it allows you to have better control over not only your microphone, but also different audio channels on your PC. I find this to be extremely useful for streaming. I use it to control not only my microphone, but also different channels for things like Discord and music, so I can have different audio levels for each one of those channels, similar to how you would use like something like the Go XLR, but this is software based. So to get Voicemeeter, you can go to vbaudio.com/voicemeter, or just go to vbaudio.com and go to audio apps and Voicemeeter, and you can download Voicemeeter. Now there's a few different versions of Voicemeter. There's Voicemeter, Voicemeter Banana, and Voicemeter Potato. These are just offer varying levels of control as far as the amount of inputs and outputs you have. I've been using Banana. I think it's worth donating for in order to use. However, this same process will work if you're using Banana or a lower version. It'll just have less inputs and outputs for you. So let's go and I will show you my Voicemeeter setup now. So you'll be able to see my microphone over here on the far left. You can see as I'm talking, the levels are going up and down. And again, for Voicemeeter Banana or just the regular Voicemeter, you will have less inputs and outputs. For the most part, this setup will really be the same. So this can apply for you too. So let's first discuss what is all of this? What does it mean? It looks extremely overwhelming, and I sort of went cross-eyed when I first started using it, so I don't blame you. So what we've got on the left side here, on this left side, we've got hardware inputs. You can see actually I'm not using hardware input 5, it's not named, but these are hardware inputs. These are typically things that you plug in directly to your computer. For example, the microphone here, as you can see, is my Yeti stereo microphone is what it sees there. And then these are some other, these are software like virtual hardware inputs that you can use that we'll talk about a little bit here, but maybe for another video as far as setting those up. And then in the middle section right here, we've got, these are actual virtual inputs. So like applications and things can run to them. So you can actually see some names of applications running on my PC right now, like Steam, Discord, Audacity, things like that. I don't really use this a whole lot as far as sending to the stream, but it does output to my ears, my headphones, so I can actually hear stuff. And then over on the right section here, we've got audio outputs. So you can actually see my microphone on the left kind of matches up with the output here on the right, because my microphone is actually going into this output and then out to OBS in my case for recording this video, but also out to OBS for streaming as well. Right now I'm streaming one day a week on Wednesdays at twitch.tv/absolutefatal. So if you have questions there, you can certainly come in and ask me questions, and I'll try and help you get set up to the best of my ability as well. So let's talk about how do you set this up to get better audio quality from your microphone. To do that, the first step is you want to get your microphone in here. Now, when you install Voicemeeter, you are going to sort of lose all your audio because your settings will get all sorts of changed around, and things will need to go into Voicemeeter so you can actually hear them. So don't panic if you install this and you can't hear any longer. It would be worth, before installing this yourself, making sure you have a separate device, another computer, a smartphone, tablet, whatever, so you can refer back to the video for getting this all set up. So we'll take a look at when you first get it set up, what you need to do. So firstly, you need to set the hardware outputs. So these are for things like your speakers, etc. So you can actually hear what's going on your computer. The audio output, you can see they're labeled with A's. So in my case, I have A1 through A5. Depending on the version of Voicemeeter, you may only have 1 or 3 of these, or all 5. So A1 right now, if you click on that, you can set it to your whatever device you're going to use for your speakers. In my case, it is speakers high definition audio device. This is just the green headphone out port from my motherboard that I use for my headphones. You can see I do have other devices available, and you can see there's different types. So we are going to use the WDM. I believe that stands for Windows Device Manager, Device Media, but we use WDM. It's actually it's kind of a lower latency format, and it's the best one to use in my experience. So you want to set this to whatever it is for you. If it's speakers, if it's optical out, depending on what you're using, SPDIF, whatever your Windows audio typically goes to, you want to select that device. So mine, in my case, we set it to speakers. You can see it's checked. And that means anything now from the input side, whether it's hardware input or virtual input, if A1 is selected, will go through my speakers, my headphones. So in this case, I can't hear my microphone right now. If I select it, now I can hear my microphone in my ears. So I'm actually hearing my microphone, what it sounds like when I'm recording. I click it to turn it back off again. Now I can't hear it because I'm no longer sending the microphone to the A1 output, which is now just my speakers, my headphones. So what you'll want to do, once you have A1 set up, you'll also need to go into your Windows sound settings. I've got my Windows sound settings open here. There it's open, easily opened by right-clicking on the speaker volume icon in the bottom right of your screen and hitting Open Sound Settings. This is a secondary monitor, so I don't have it on this particular screen. But you just go down here, right-click on the little speaker icon where you change your volume and hit Open Sound Settings. And you will need to set up your output device. Your output device, this is where you can hear, where your sound comes out of. In my case, and what we're doing here, I use Voicemeeter aux input. So it's this bottom one here, Voicemeter aux input, which is VB audio, Voicemeter aux VAIO. So go ahead and select that on yours. Now, what are these different devices? Because you see a few Voicemeeter inputs here. You got Voicemeter aux input, Voice VB audio, Voicemeter VAIO, VB audio, Voicemeter VAIO3, and as far as Voicemeter specific ones, we've also got, you'll also have cable input, VB audio, virtual cable. I have a couple extras because I'm also using BB cables, AB cables, which is something separate, but just gives you extra cable inputs. This is the one you'll have. Cable input, VB audio, virtual cable. Go ahead and select VB audio, Voicemeter aux VAIO as your output. And that's Voicemeter aux input here. What does that mean? That means the audio being sent out by Windows will go into, by default, since that's the default output, will go into the VB aux input, which is this one here, the virtual audio inputs we talked about earlier. This is the middle, Voicemeter aux. You see how Voicemeter aux? That's the Voicemeter aux input. So we are using that for anything that's on my machine that starts up by default that I haven't changed the settings on. It will go into this channel, and I've told this channel to play through my headphones, the A1 that we set up earlier, which is my headphones. So when I start a new app, it'll come up in through this aux input channel, and then it'll go out to my headphones. So Let's focus on our microphone setup. You can see here with my microphone, I've got a couple different settings going on here. So on the left here, you have compression, which I've got at 3.5, and then there's a noise gate at 2.9. And then up at the top here, there's a little bit of effects or sort of equalizer, an EQ that you can apply to your voice to make it sound a little bit better. There is a reverb effect. I don't use that. And external effects. I've actually never used this particular effect myself. The main focus here will be using compression and a noise gate. So what is a noise gate? If you don't know what a noise gate is, that is a setting that it basically tells your microphone when to listen and when to ignore sounds going on in your room. So right now it's at 2.9, which means my voice has to be at a certain volume level essentially in order for my microphone to pick it up. If I am too quiet, my microphone won't hear anything. And and it doesn't really matter how loud I am, it'll pick it up above this threshold. Why would you use this? You use this to get rid of any background noise when you're not talking. When you are talking, anything the microphone's picking up, it's going to pick up. But when you're not talking, say you have a fan going on in the background, you won't have constant fan noise in the background. You'll only start sending audio through once you start talking, which is really handy. If you ever played on a console, usually consoles have settings for like your voice sensitivity. That's basically how you can think of this. It's like for voice sensitivity. So if I turn this down from 2.9 all the way to 0, now you will see when I shut up that there will be a little bit of noise audio in the background. You can see I wasn't talking, and you can hear that there's some noise in the background, possibly there, and the bar just never goes away. Now, if I set it up to what I like in my room, which is 2.9, when I stop talking, this bar will go down to nothing. So let's get that set up. And you can see there it is. My bar went down and came back when I started talking. So that's how you use a noise gate. Now this is going to vary depending on your room, so you will have to play around with it to see what sounds best. My kind of recommendation is be silent yourself and start clicking up the noise gate until when you're not making any sound, that bar goes away like I showed you. And that's kind of your base level. And then you have to play around with, if you want to have to speak at a certain volume for it to pick you up, you can play around with how high you set this noise gate. And then let's go on and talk about compression. What is compression? One might ask. At a basic level, what compression will do is try and make your loud voices quiet and your quiet voices loud. To sort of balance the volume level. It won't be a perfect balance where you're going to be monotone all the time, but it will help balance that out. So if you scream in game when you're playing some sort of action game or scary game or whatever, it won't be like too loud and overblown for the people that are on the other end listening. And then if you talk quietly, it won't be too quiet for the microphone to pick up and nobody's able to hear it. So as an example, if I start getting really loud, you can still hear me without a problem. Just in case you got angry. And if you got pretty quiet and you wanted to talk to your stream in a very soft tone, then you could do so and they can still hear you while you're talking to them. Of course, make sure your noise gate isn't turned up too high where they couldn't hear you talking softly. So that is compression and noise gates. So for setting compression, 3.5. Why do you have it at 3.5? Well, I have played around with that number a lot, and sort of the best way I thought that worked for me was to start saying the same phrase, listen to my own microphone, turn that on so I could hear myself, which is a little weird at first, but you figure it out. You can understand what's going on. I got a little bit of a delay and a weird how do I make sentences when I'm hearing myself like this? There's not a huge delay. There is some delay, but you'll get used to it enough, especially just for testing, and then you can turn it back off. So turn that on so you can hear yourself, and then just start saying the same phrase. Maybe it's test 1, 2, 3, whatever, and start cranking it up. But what you want to do is kind of say it softly so you can hear how loud it will be when you're talking softly. That's what I found worked. And then once you have that, you think you have it set well, start yelling at the microphone while you're monitoring it. And from there, you can determine what's the best value for you. In my case, I thought it was 3.5. If you want to just set it to 3.5 and be like, I'm done, his is 3.5, good to go. Feel free. But play around with that a bit if you want to, and see how it sounds for you. Lastly, what we want to talk about here is this IntelliPen EQ setting. So this will kind of play around with your voice and how it sounds, and also add in some, it can add in some echo if you go in way up here. So the default, as you can see over here, I haven't changed this one, is bottom middle. That is exactly how your microphone would sound by itself. And then you can click on it and drag it around. You can hear how this makes my voice sound high. Over here it sounds low. And back in the middle, this is what it sounds like by default. I prefer my voice somewhere over here. But you can see if you also raise your voice, the box up over here, it starts to get really echoey. And you can just kind of play around with how that sounds to you. So I'm going to put mine about there. That's how I like to have it. That's how you get better sound out of your microphone using Voicemeeter. Now, there is one more thing you can do, which I think is extremely worth it, that we'll be talking about, which is going to be using a VST plugin with Voicemeeter. I'll give you a quick preview of what that is. I use Cantabile, and I use a couple of VST plugins. If I open that up, we've got a full EQ. I think this is like a 10 band or 12 band or something. Can't count, maybe it's more. But anyway, this is a multi-band EQ, and I can play around with the tone of my voice a bit more. And then I also use a limiter, which I'll show you here. So there's a limiter here. Now this does run through Voicemeeter, and I can get, if you want to see a full setup for that, go ahead and put a comment down below and let me know. If you want to see a video on how to set up the VST plugins, let me know. I'll show you the difference here now if we load this up. So this is my voice without the VST plugins, and this is my voice with the VST plugins running. So if you want to see how to set that up, let me know, and I can I'll set up a video for how to see those. Guys, I appreciate you coming by today and watching this video. I hope I really helped you. If you do have questions, please leave a comment down below. If this helped you, click that like button for me. It's going to help out the channel, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I drop a new video. Right now I'm dropping one video a week is my schedule, primarily focused on setting up various components and software for streaming on Twitch. My stream on Twitch right now, Wednesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific time. And my channel is twitch.tv/absolutefatal. And I look forward to chatting with you there. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.